the last time I spoke to a crowd, it was horrendous. I was on stage and it was for this quiz show, and every line I delivered, there was a mistake. So that was in grade 2. I will try to do a little better. I think I've practiced some more. So my name is Redge Tolentino. Um, right. Wait, so yeah, I'm here to discuss my experience on the paleo diet, the paleo lifestyle. Um, I'm not a doctor. This is not meant to give medical advice. It's just meant to share my experience, my personal N=1 experience on the paleo diet. So if you want to try out anything I suggest, you should do so. Um, right, so this is me. I'm 31. I'm about 5'11", and I'm 180 pounds. But it wasn't always that way. I'm a size medium, but at one point I was really big. That's an old photo of me. That's the last one that I haven't burned. I found it last week. So I was about 5'9". This was taken during first year high school. I was 270 pounds, and I used to have size like 8XL t-shirts. So during PE class, I would wait for everyone to change shirts first, and the moment no one was looking, I'd take my shirt there, just wait for everyone to not look at me, then go, there you go. That's how I was. That's funny now, but if you wake up in the middle of the night, you're 17, you can't breathe, and you're carrying around 4 bowling balls worth of weight everywhere, it's not a fun experience. But you know, a lot of people, and I'm sure you might know people like this, they think even if they're like slightly larger than average, they still think, oh, it's fine, it's fine. And that was me. I didn't think anything was wrong with me. This huge thing, no, this is like I'm big boned. There was this one time though, I was walking through Green Hills, and it was a Changi type store, and I saw this person on the other side of the hall, and I just went, oh man, that guy's so fat, that's like ugly. And then I realized after I took a few steps, it was a mirror. So I actually looked at myself and like, oh man, I need to change something. So as so many people do, I go on a diet. So the first diet I had was I just ate a box of this bran cereal every day, multivitamin, no fail. For 3 months, I lost weight. I lost 90 pounds, so it got the job done. It was a horrible life. I lost muscle, my hair was thinning. Whenever I get up too quickly, the blood wouldn't rush, so I'd feel faint and sit back down. But it did the job. It really did the job, but not for long. So I gained the weight back, and I went on the siomai diet, all dim sum diet, only dim sum. No way, no. If there was a hint of fried anything, I would not touch that stuff. If it was pan fried, no, not at all, dim sum. It's only later, I developed this phobia against fat. And I later realized that some dim sum, to get the soup inside, they use pure pork fat, then they steam it, so there you go. I also went on a rye bread diet, so that was slightly more, how do you say this? Less restrictive. I remember my dad, who's sitting right over there, we'd eat at a restaurant somewhere here, and I'd get up, and he'd go, oh, anak, saan ka pupunta? And I said, bibili lang po ako doon sa ano. And every time, that would irritate him, but he still allows me. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. Right. So I lost weight. This was the initial weight loss. This was in China. I studied there for a year for college. Lots and lots of soy, apparently imitation meat. My Chinese was not yet good enough to understand that imitation meat means not meat. Then I gained it back slowly. and I gained it back again. This was 2008. So if you notice the lack of muscle and the extreme amount of fat, that was like maybe 30% fat. And it was horrible. At one point, I was even on the popcorn and salmon diet. I would eat nothing but popcorn and salmon, microwave popcorn and salmon. That sounds insane. That sounds insane. But if anyone you know has been on a weight loss thing to lose weight, we are looking for that Excalibur. We are looking for the magic sword that can defeat any and all fat gain. So in 2008, big year for me, I went primal. I researched, I ran across something on the internet, and it was by this guy. His name is Dr. Eads, E-A-D-E-S, and I read this 6,000-word essay about how trying to eat the way how earlier humans did it, less processed foods, less artificial ingredients, is optimal. That precludes grains. So that means I couldn't eat grains. So I started out as this. So I kind of lost weight now. Then after 2 years, that's me. After Frisbee, then after a while, I forget what slide is next. I started doing activity, proper activity. I ditched cardio. I used to be a treadmill and bicycle guy, maybe 2 hours a day. That did not do well. You get big legs and really skinny arms. So I started to do more whole body stuff, like climbing. I started to climb once in a while. Then I started jiu-jitsu also last year. 2 coaches right there from Origins, BJJ. So I credit them for introducing me to the sport in a friendly way. Jiu-jitsu is a very rough and tumble sport. So I got a little, what's the word? Vain. So, you could get some photo shoots like this. This guy, this photographer, is Tumblr. He's really good, by the way. Yeah, I'm kind of nervous. So what is paleo? What is paleo? You heard Paleo Manila over there, and there are plenty of resources online to define what paleo is. So just let me explain broadly what it is. It deals in life. We have a lot of stress, and back in the days, the stress would come from, let's say, organisms we ate that don't necessarily agree with us. It would come from a bear from the woods, then we had to run really fast, or it would come from, I don't know, family with each other, and that stress is good because it tells our body's reaction to the stress is inflammation. So if we eat something that's not so okay with us, our guts inflame. When we lift heavy, our muscles are inflamed because the body is rushing blood and oxygen and nutrients to the site and trying to heal it. That's how we grow. That's how we get stronger. The problem these days is it's not acute stress, it's not dosage-based stress, it's a lot of chronic stress, it's low-level stress, it's your boss waiting for you for your report, it's your commute here, it's the grains that have gluten and lectins in them that are causing this low-level stress which our bodies are not capable of dealing with. It's like this. Let's say you're expecting an attack, let's say a terrorist attack on an airport. So what do? You raise the defense levels, you hire more people, you tell everyone, hey, this is going to happen, and that works. Unfortunately, that costs a lot of money, that costs a lot of resources. Same thing with our bodies. We're constantly on this heightened state of repair. It's okay. So yeah, what the paleo lifestyle does is try to limit that stress in terms of diet, in terms of sleep and stress, and in terms of proper exercise and activity. I'll go into each one in a while. So what do we eat? This is basically everything paleo. Everything you can see here is paleo. A lot of people, they ask me questions like, isn't that hard to eat? That's not that uncommon, right? So what do we eat? The first things, instead of telling you what to eat, I'd rather tell you what to avoid eating. So the first thing you should know about the paleo diet is that it shuns grains. So that includes wheat, rye, barley, oatmeal, rice. I haven't eaten a donut or a pizza or a plate of spaghetti for about 8 years. And a lot of people, when they tell me that, they think, how can I live? Or they say, YOLO, YOLO, you only live once. I kind of disagree. I think we only die once, but we live every day. So the thing with paleo is you don't really want to live longer as much as live better for longer. You're improving your quality of life by dodging sickness, by dodging chronic ailments like arthritis. I mean, yeah. Legumes, so that includes all beans, soy, peanuts. They have something called lectins, which our bodies don't necessarily like. They're a plant's defensive mechanisms. So that we avoid that. Dairy, including milk, cream, yogurt, and cheese. Well, if you think about it, who drinks milk? Milk is drunk by babies, right? Because there's a reason for that, because it sends a powerful message to the body. It tells the body to grow. We're virtually the only animals who drink another species' milk unless we give it to the cat, right? So I avoided milk, and it's not a problem for me too much now. Vegetable oils like canola oil, corn oil, they're not really natural. If you look online, they raise bad cholesterol and lower good cholesterol. So there's no win on that. Processed foods also, anything that comes out of a bag, that's not necessarily what we're good at. Sure, we can eat it, but the issue is not adaptability, it's optimization. Sure, you can eat that, you can get energy from that, but is that really telling our body to become its best potential? My sisters are smiling, they really should. Artificial sweeteners. Okay, if I need something sweet, I will eat plain old sugar, no question, or honey. No need for this artificial sweetener stuff. I think the body can understand a sugar molecule or a fructose molecule far easier than something cooked up in a lab. Next, so that's exercise. The next part is sleep and stress. So you need to chill off life. In a paleo diet, it's a cat, sleep is very important. We live in a society where we're very action-driven. If there's a problem, we have to do something about it. The metaphor in terms of a diet standpoint, in terms of weight loss standpoint, is that you see the floor is wet, and the first thing you think is get a mop that thing up. But what we should really be doing is turning off the faucet. Diet will do far more than any exercise can, and sleep and stress does more than diet. Sleep is very important. We spend a third of our lives sleeping, and it has stuff to do with cognition. If you don't sleep very well, or if you haven't slept well, like me last night, you develop short-term memory problems. You know, if you don't sleep very well, like me last night, you develop short-term memory problems. If you I'm just kidding. So yeah, hormones, that also gets affected. Leptin and ghrelin are hormones that tell us we are full. Stop opening and closing your mouth around food. Cortisol release, that helps or delays fat loss. That's affected by a lack of sleep. If we lack sleep, our bodies are just gonna go, okay, keep everything, keep all the fat, lower your performance. You know, don't push too much on that deadlift. We might need that energy, so it sends you that response. With sleep, I follow very basic stuff, timing, duration, and intensity. I'll go into that detail later, but basically, timing is when you sleep. So normally we'd go to sleep after sunset because there's no more light. It's only nowadays that we have super bright phones in our hand before we sleep. That's sending the message to our body that, you know, it's still sun out. We really shouldn't sleep, you know, because there could be animals or food out there. Let's not sleep yet. And you keep pushing this. You keep pushing this habit. And over time, you rack up sleep debt, which is bad. So timing, They say an hour before 10 of sleep is worth 2 after midnight. That works. Duration is how long you sleep. So our bodies go through this intense cycle of rejuvenation while we're asleep. 90 minutes, if you can take a nap, that works. It goes through the whole cycles. And intensity of sleep. So are you sleeping in a dark room, or are you sleeping with the neighbor's video okay? Are you sleeping in a cool environment? That counts. Meditation is also important to kind of just lower the cortisol cycle, and proper socialization. You know, when I started the paleo diet, my family they were kind of okay. Eat 20 eggs a day, no problem with the yolks. Okay. My coworkers, they all thought, you're eating that much, you're gonna die. You're gonna get a heart attack in 2 years. You're gonna die. That was in 2010. And incredibly, no one I've ever dated has disrespected my paleo diet, because the moment they disrespect my paleo diet, what I decide to put in my body, they're no longer my dates. Oh, okay, tough crowd. So, who you are with, the people you spend time with, that choice is very, very important, because we live in a society where it's more about networks. Networks belong to us. If we don't like someone on Facebook, we can just take them out of our network. But what socialization means, what real socialization means, is being part of a community, being part of a group of people who will notice when you're gone, being part of a community like a jiu-jitsu club or a board game club who will miss you and whom you have to pay dues in the form of you showing up for something. So that's very important. We're social beings. Lastly, okay, exercise. So in terms of exercise, how to move, it depends on your goals. Based on paleo, our bodies adapt to how we move. So if you look at joggers, most of them will have very thick legs and very thin arms, because they should do that. They jog. So having big arms, it doesn't help jogging well. So basic rules are: you go intense, so you lift heavy, you sprint fast, go all out. You go long, you do exercise for long, so you can walk for 2 hours maybe, or you can swim at a moderate pace for 3 hours, no problem. Or you can do it often, so you can go to the gym every day, provided your diet and sleep is on point. Pick 2. I got this adage, this 3, from a Dr. Rhonda Patrick online. And yeah, so pick 2. Because if you go over that, if you insist on hitting the gym, lifting at your max reps every day of the week, you're not giving your body the chance to recuperate. We grow while we sleep, not in the gym. And again, it depends on your goals. Are you looking to lose fat? Are you going for weight loss? Are you going for physical preparedness? Are you going for performance, in which case abs don't really count? Are you a model? Then you need more definition. You don't need strength. Primal considerations, right? So, I just like the picture. Hunger Games. So these are my tips on how to go primal. So the first one is Hunger Games. Try to figure out what kind of hungry are you. Are you head hungry? Are you head hungry? It's 12 o'clock, I should eat now. A lot of people do that. You don't need to. Are you mouth hungry? Are you craving for some spice? Then maybe you should eat a little bit of that spice. Maybe you should eat a little bit of sugar, because you're craving for it. I remember when I started paleo, I quit grains and I loved Cinnabon. I loved Cinnabon at that time. And whenever I'd pass by a Cinnabon, it would leave me, but the smell would just lasso me back. And I'd find myself slowly circling back and just hovering around the Cinnabon until I finally, you just give it. It's crazy. Your palms sweat up, you salivate. It's like you're this dog that's used to eating this. You have to get rid of that. Are you heart hungry? Heart hungry? Do you feel bad? Did someone dump you or something? And that's when you call, your friends, Ben and Jerry, Johnny Walker, Jack Daniels. Wow, hard crowd. Jamba Juice. So yeah, there's heart hungry, so that's emotional eating. You should stop that. Then there's stomach hungry. Stomach hungry is the one where you feel literally weak. That's what we should really be following. A very important thing to note though, when you first go paleo, it's important that you should not follow what your hunger is doing, that you're feeling weak, we need a donut, because our bodies are just used to that. It's used to having sugar as fuel instead of fat. So you'll feel bad for a while, but keep going. Sandman, sleep. It's very important. Sleep is very important. As I said, duration, timing, and intensity. It's tough socially when your friends ask you out and you have to say, I have to go to bed early, then they call you a kid or ano ba yan, tumatanda ka na. But you have to keep going it. The Iliad, okay. So in Iliad, it's a Greek piece, and there was this part where Odysseus had to sail past these sirens that were tempting him to have sex with him. So what he asked his crew to do was tie himself to a mast. So no matter how he struggled, he couldn't get to it. You need to do that if you're going on a diet. You need to give yourself the best chance of success. And by having food, having carbs, having chocolate in your house or in your cupboard, it's not giving you the best chance of success. It's too easy to fail that. So clean out your cupboard. Chamber of Secrets. So this is the part where you have your deodorant and your detergent and your soap. There are paleo ways to do that. Messy Bessie is right there. Wave naman. They make really good stuff. I've been on their stuff for 3 years. They've never given me a discount. But they make good stuff. It helps the local farmers, and they don't use a lot of the cheap chemicals that more mainstream more mainstream brands use. Right. I don't use shampoo. Okay, I don't use shampoo. I just use baking soda for my hair. I've been doing so for 2 years. That's a part very close to my brain. I'd like to keep chemicals away from that as much as possible. Shades of gray. So in terms of paleo, there is no one paleo diet. You have to test what works for you and what doesn't. Gray areas include white rice. White rice is pure energy, and it doesn't have a lot of the anti-nutrients that are in other grains. Anti-nutrients are stuff that bind to vitamin A. So you can say that you're selling this product with 100 grams of vitamin A, but if it has anti-nutrients that bind to that vitamin A, you can eat that all day and you won't get any of it. So what's the point, right? Coffee, dark chocolate, those are also paleo gray areas. It's up to you to guess and test. My advice is to start at a very strict level. Then when you start to feel okay, add back stuff. If you don't feel well, take it out, add back another thing. Faults in our stars, right. So this is where the part where I say, in terms of diet, I wish someone told me this as a kid, but when celebrities hold stuff up in TV or commercials, they're being paid to do that. So keep that mindset that the six-pack model abs you see on TV, the model you see on TV with the six-pack abs or invisible legs, isn't necessarily eating what they're holding up. They're just paid to do that. If you keep that in mind, it goes a long way because yeah. So frequently asked questions. Is it hard? Yes, paleo is hard. Absolutely, it is harder. But from my experience 8 years ago, it is harder to wake up out of breath. It is harder to be weak. It is harder to constantly have to eat every 3 hours looking for a donut. That is harder than paleo. Is it expensive? Yes, it is expensive. Paleo is very expensive. If you look at it from a marketer's point of view, this product, which is flour, which lasts forever in terms of the ref, it costs less, it tastes better, it makes people hungrier, and it's pure energy. that costs. It makes more sense to make a product out of flour, out of that stuff, than meat, which spoils almost immediately, which is harder to get. It takes up more space. So yes, it is expensive, but only in the short term, because in the long term, you're avoiding all the sickness. You're avoiding all the times you need to get a sugar fix. You're avoiding all the times you need to drink Asahi beer. So yeah, is it difficult to eat out? From experience, only in Chinese and Italian restaurants. Otherwise, there's always a salad, there's always a steak, there's always a chicken breast. They always have a low priced, reasonably priced meat meal in any restaurant. I think the average is ×3, ×4, to ×6 nowadays in restaurants, so you can compute that backwards. And last, how do you feel about the slaughter of countless animals in your quest for six-pack abs? I was expecting a vegan to ask me this today. Tough crowd, shit. But well, the thing with that, for me, is if you go to any airplane flight and something happens, it's an emergency, the oxygen mask comes down, right? And the first thing you should do is not help others, you should help yourself. I went vegetarian, vegan for a while, and I didn't feel good on it. Maybe I was doing it wrong or something, but I really didn't feel good on it. So paleo diet just makes me feel good. I can't see how that goes. In terms of countless animals slaughtered, paleo doesn't really support conventionally fed meats. We go for meats like from their down-to-earth farms and Holy Carabao. So the cows are grass-fed. They're left out to pasture and not fed in slaughterhouses. The chickens are free-range. They get to roam around and peck their own insects, instead of in farms where they are fed antibiotics and estrogen compounds, which get stored in the fat, and when people eat that fat and skin, they get transferred to us. I know this because I'm kind of in the industry before. So local resources, down-to-earth farms, as I mentioned, I've shopped there for like 2 years. Nick, if he's there, he's not there. There's also Holy Carabao Farms. They make good eggs. I've tried their produce. The Farm Organics is also in Landmark, slightly cheaper. Healthy Options has paleo stuff. And provinces and wet markets. There was this one time in Batanes. I was in Batanes with my father, and I loved it. I looked at the landscape and said, wow, that's amazing. And my dad said, yeah, ang ganda nga ng tanawin. And I said, no, Dad, the cow is just there. It's just like grazing over there. I want to kind of order stuff and take it home. And I did. I went to the local market, and how they do it pala is they get a cow, then they butcher it, then they portion off the pieces, and the guy got a little bit angry at me because I wanted to buy all of it. So apparently they only slaughter once a week or once every 2 weeks. So yeah. Online resources. You can take a screenshot of this, or when this video is uploaded, please look them up. Dr. Eads is the author of the blog that got me into paleo. Rob Wolf, I used to sleep with his voice in my ear, slowly whispering paleo stuff. He has this podcast, The Paleo Solution, very useful, very, very bro-ish. Mark Sisson also has a good site. His site is called The Primal Blueprint. Martin Berkham deals more on fasting and coffee. So when I was working out, I followed a lot of his advice. Coffee, by the way, does make you lose weight. It is a fat burner on its own, only if you do not only if you do not put cream or sugar or eat it with that croissant. So it works. Just like alcohol. Alcohol doesn't really make us fat if you just drink it on its own. Conversion is like 0.7% ethanol into body fat. Chris Kresser, his stuff is accessible, but it deals mostly with the science. So if you're into that. Lastly, Paleo Hacks and Paleo Leap. Those are paleo community sites. I suggest you check those out too. other stuff. All right, so plug. I'm a writer, so I'm not. I about how society is divided into people who can change things but won't, like some politicians, and a working class who want to change things but can't because you have to be in an elevator pushing buttons. I'm Redge Tolentino on Facebook, Scosa9 on IG. That's my email. That's my site for another book I'm working on. I also host the Paleo group in the Philippines, but there's like 100 members. I started it 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, but I realize I'm not that extroverted enough to keep the conversation going. So there. Last message lang about weight loss. I lost 90 pounds and a good deal of fat. I learned a lot. But this phrase, everyone I talk to, they abide by this phrase. And for me, besides the weight loss and the health benefits, one of the biggest advantages or benefits about going paleo or losing weight is that you don't have to worry about losing weight anymore. If you think about it, it's nonsensical. You can only see that advantage when you're there na. You don't need to think, oh, ilang calories yun, oh, I can't eat this, oh. A lot of people, they go on diets that are like bicycles. Now, if you stop the diet, you fall over. A paleo diet for me is more like a paleo lifestyle. It's more like a train. The faster you go, the harder it is for you to stop. So it might be hard to get that train going, but once you do, it just keeps on going. So yeah. I don't know. I'm mostly a very. Yeah. Also, there's no 0-1 paleo diet. Vegetarianism is kind of 0-1, so it's either you're vegetarian or you're not. Paleo is more like you find your own place in the curve. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Like I hats off to Nico over there, Down to Earth Farms and Holy Carabao, because it is very hard to make money off paleo. It's one of the reasons why I kind of trust it. A lot of ads nowadays, if you go around, it's all about creating an emotional connection with the product. You see people with glowing faces around a bucket of fast food chicken. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I've never been to a fast food joint and they're like posed like that. But it's about creating an emotional bond with the food instead of anything actually saying anything about the food itself. A lot of people, do that because it's cheaper. I'd rather people use the advertising money or the celebrity money to improve the quality of their food instead of, what else? I don't know now. What else? Yeah. I guess yun lang. I'll open the floor for questions. Thank you. Questions? Anyone, really? All my friends back there should ask questions right now. Seriously. Yes. Question, please. Go.
So, Mr. Tolentino, how was your transition to paleo and how did you plan for it?
How did I plan for it? Interesting. So at first I cleaned out my closet because it was full of cereals. I chunked that out, or I gave them to the condo guard. It was horrible. It was rough. Imagine you are mostly fat, right? And your body is primed for survival, and it thinks we need to keep onto this fat. And the first thing it does when you give it the signal that we need to burn this fat is they rise up. The fat cells in your body rise up. They say, no, we need the sugar. We need the sugar. It's like a country. Let's say let's imagine an island country in the middle of the South China Sea, and most of the constituents you need to get them out because they're unproductive. Let's say that's fat cells. So what do you do when you tell unproductive citizens that they need to work? They rebel. And that's what happens to your body. It rebels. It gives you headaches. It takes away your energy. The best thing you can do in that situation, and I'm not for it, is martial law. You need to tell your body, no, we're not having that donut. No, we do not need that cronut. No, that the soda can wait. We can live without the soda. So that was the hardest part, I think. The first 3 months, the first 3 days, it was like you wanted to die. But I just kept going back to that first article and how it made so much sense. So thank you for that question. So there, catch. Okay, that's a coconut bar I used to eat. I buy it from LT Options. It's 90 pesos. Whenever I'm caught outside and I am really hungry and I have nothing to eat, I just eat one up, and that holds me till the next day. Questions? Any questions? Up there? Up there? That's just for the video. Actually, it's a coliseum there. You don't see it, but it's... Ask something, please. Anyone? Okay. Before, the photographer here, Justin, was telling me about how he quit dancing and because for work, and he found himself losing weight. So that's another example of adaptation, the body's adaptation. If you stop doing the activity you're doing, I'm sure you know someone who's a swimmer or he was a varsity athlete back in college or high school. The moment you stop doing that activity, the body is going to go, do we need that big chest? I don't think we need that big chest. That costs too much energy. We're not using it. Let's get rid of it. Or do we need legs? I don't think we need those legs. We're sitting down most of the day. Why are we using these legs? Get rid of the legs. If you're after an overnight fast, for example, after an overnight fast, if you haven't eaten for 8 hours, you can't expect to be eating sugar because we're basically running on fat. So what do? The first thing we do, the first thing we're taught to do, the first thing we're socialized to do is to eat a high carbohydrate breakfast because we need the energy. From experience, when I stopped eating breakfast, I think there was a question before about that, I just felt better. I mean, you drink a cup of coffee right after you wake up, and you're still good for like 2 hours. Sometimes, if I'm going to work out, I'll eat something before. Sometimes I'll work out without going before, see how I feel, then change it. Switch it up according to how it goes. You don't need to eat breakfast. Breakfast is... we grew up with that wisdom, Mom. I love you. Always eat breakfast. You're going to starve. But we're kind of capable of holding our own. So, yeah. Next, yes. Go.
Question. I think you mentioned kanina na everyone has a place on the curve with the paleo diet. You mentioned 4 steps or 4 necessary factors. But can you reap or maximize the benefits without the others? Like, if you don't exercise and just eat and do other things.
Okay. A lot of it, some of it depends on your genetics and gene expression. In general, diet has the most impact. The most bang for your buck, if you need to spend time doing anything, it's cleaning up your diet. It's the hardest thing to do. I'd say giving up carbs is probably harder than giving up smoking because we can live without smoking, but we can't live without eating. You can live without drinking, but you can't live without eating. So I went into paleo thinking, wow, paleo for life. Actually, that was the wrong move. The best thing to do when you truly are committed to something is take it an hour at a time, maybe, sometimes a day at a time. Then if you can do it a little better, a week at a time. So you focus on the current moment and you don't have to obsess about food. I started jiu-jitsu last year and I get a lot of injuries. So I get a lot of bruises. I broke my finger. I extended my shoulder. But the most pain I've felt in rolling with someone is this time when I went easy on drills. So I made a deal with this guy. Let's not do, pare, wag na tayo masyadong mag-exert ng effort, okay? And we did that, so hindi na kami pina-burpees or anything. But when I looked at my coach, he was here, he had this look that said, hindi yan jiu-jitsu, pan-jiu-jitsu tong lugar na to. Kung hindi ka lang mag-jiu-jitsu, ba't ka pa nandito? As in that look, that piercing look. And he's a very good guy. He's a brown belt. I look up to him, and it just hurt. So I never went easy after that. It's the same with diet. You need to commit all in. You can't go half-assed. You can go light. You can maybe skip a day, but you can't just go because yeah. And when yeah. Did I answer your question? Sorry. Yo, sister, reach me.
Is the paleo diet advisable for women?
Very good question. I think it's advisable for everyone. Women, I think the biggest issue when I tell them women should lift heavy is they're afraid of growing Hulk muscles immediately. And if you ask any guy whose testosterone is 3 times more than women, it is hard, okay? We can't, the momentary increase in mass people feel after they lift is temporary. It's a pump. It's called a muscle pump. It's temporary inflammation. For sure, paleo was easy for women. Although, in terms of fasting, I think men are better capable of fasting for longer. Women, I think 8 to 10 hours is pretty okay. Any more questions? Yes, Pao.
Awesome presentation, by the way. Is there any possibility of paleo ice cream?
Paleo ice cream. Okay, actually, I've kind of seen paleo ice cream. It's made of coconut milk. It's ridiculously expensive and healthy options. I think it's called Coconut Dreams. It tastes okay enough. Are you looking for the sweetness or the creaminess or nothing?
All.
Okay. As I said, paleo is like a train, okay? So once you can skip a few days naman, it won't kill you. When there was this one time I remember after a really hard gym session, I needed the sugar. And Ben & Jerry's vanilla ice cream was just there. So I bought that. Then I'd buy dark chocolate. I'd buy my own macadamia nuts. I'd buy my own blueberries. And I'd make my own ice cream. So, yeah. Label reading is very important in paleo. If you see ice cream and the first ingredient there is water, it's mostly water. The first ingredient in any ingredient list is the most that ingredient is made up of. So think about it. When you have a tub of ice cream from Selecta or Magnolia and the first ingredient is water, it might not be ice cream. Next. Go. Although technically beef is mostly water. And I'm mostly water pala, no? Okay. Sorry. Yeah, go.
Hello. I was just wondering if you do consultation, like if you have programs wherein you can make a diet for me and I don't know, you have a fee.
Again, about this celebrity marketing thing, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just trying to get people to consider an idea. It's not popular because it doesn't make a lot of money. And from experience, I train friends. I train friends sometimes, and I don't want a monetary consideration because the moment that happens, I'm attaching a number to my effort. So if you want to consult with me, maybe shoot me an email or something, and I'll help you out. There are lots of resources online, but I think to tailor fit it to yourself, it requires discipline, patience, consistency, and discipline. Last question. How many questions pa? Maybe? 3 minutes. So one more question, one last question. Anyone? No? I forgot a lot of my jokes, so it's crazy. You know, I prepared for this presentation maybe a week ago, but I feel I've been preparing for it all my life. It's more like a lifestyle now for me. I remember growing up, my brothers and sisters, when we would drive behind a hog carrier transport. In there, we were 12, we were young. They'd go, "Uy, mom, dad, si kuya, yung kapatid niya, nandun." And all those pigs would just, unwittingly look at me and everything. And me and my writer, whatever, would say, "Oh nga, you know, yung pangalan niya si ano," and I'd name their names. But it still hurts. So, I'm kind of used to a yo-yo dieting thing, and 8 years weight off is, I'd say, pretty okay. It's pretty rare. Yeah, and as I said, now I don't have to worry about weight loss. I just have to worry about giving presentations. When my neighbor asks me, TJ Sulit is also my coach in jiu-jitsu and pioneered hunt and gather. It's brilliant what he's doing. It's very rare. I hope it continues more. He's very inclusive, so vegetarians and vegans are all here. Not assassinating me or something. Because, yeah. Yeah, I think that's it.